Well, ladies and gentlemen, as promised, I have the second terrible article coming out from Kotaku, but this one's special, ladies and gentlemen. This one's special. This one was written by the biggest fan of the Hypnotic YouTube channel right now as of modern day, and that is from Alyssa Mercante, okay? Alyssa Mercante has put out an article for someone who supposedly is supposed to be working on gaming guides, and she decides to want to tell everybody that Hades 2 is the kind of hot that we need right now.
Stellar Blade is the game of the year because there's a shiny titty and a almost a medium ass. It's not even a great ass. It's a medium ass. It's not even that big.
It is a medium ass.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the same Alyssa Mercante that decided to completely roast Eve from Stellar Blade and take part in an entire conversation about how it's #1 weird to sexualize characters, how Eve is essentially just a doll with no personality that is meant to have be jerk-off bait for people. That's basically what she said and what all her colleagues said and everybody else who wanted to try to defend Kotaku and shill for the same exact narrative. That's what they all said. And now apparently it's perfectly fine and it's okay to sexualize characters as long as they look androgynous to an extent. So let's get into this article, guys, from good old Kotaku. But of course, before we do, if you are new here, just consider hitting that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it, and like the video to push us out into that YouTube algorithm. So again, the headline is ridiculous. The sub-headline is even worse. Supergiant Games has once again reminded us that they can make incredibly hot characters. Now, people are saying that this character on the left is more of your prototypical what you would expect from a sexy female character. I gotta disagree. That face up there is looking heavily trans, if you get my drift, okay? They look like they got inspiration from Blair White, where apparently they can mimic the body, but the face is still a little bit sus, if you catch my drift. No hate towards Blair White, but ultimately, even though the plastic surgery is definitely there, when it comes to this character, the face and that sharp-ass nose and that sharp, wide jaw is just getting me to get trans vibes, if you catch my drift. So I wouldn't use this as an example of a traditional sexy female, and I definitely wouldn't use the one on the right who is extremely muscular, looking like the opposite trans version, the one who can't afford surgery, the one who probably wasn't born with very feminine features. That looks like to be that character. And then, of course, you got diabetes representation in the middle with Hephaestus, who we just made a video on recently. Yeah, I wouldn't call these characters hot in the slightest, but again, this is what you call and what the internet has deemed as safe horny, and that is something that we are going to be using because, let's be real, it is very accurate. It's an extremely accurate statement. This is what they considered safe horny, because as long as the characters are diverse, then it's okay to sexualize them. That's the mindset of someone like Alyssa Mercante. She's not okay with Eve because Eve is made from the East, but as long as the game is made from the West, hey, it's game's on. We can sexualize anything. They are hypocrites. Everybody at Kotaku is hypocrites. Everybody that shills for Kotaku are hypocrites too. If you sexualize these characters and you had a problem sexualizing Eve and you called it for the male gaze and you said it was just jerk-off bait, I got news for you. You are a hypocrite. It says Hades Supergiant Games award-winning 2020 roguelite was renowned for its excellent combat, beautiful art style, entrancing music, and very, very hot characters. You were okay with the first three. That fourth one, now you're just making shit up. You'd expect a game about Greek gods who were purposely attractive so that normies of ancient Greece had something to aspire towards, and that comment right there, I want to focus on. You mean to tell me that these normies in ancient Greece were able to see themselves in these super gods? You know what I mean? Like, they were able to see themselves and want to aspire to be something godlike, almost as if you don't have to see yourself on screen or in entertainment or in anything in order to connect with that character, right? Like, you guys literally just destroyed your own argument with that one sentence. Then to include a ton of hot characters, but Hades managed to exceed expectations. And from what we've seen in Hades 2 technical tests and Supergiant's latest gameplay stream, it looks like the sequel will be even hotter. Take that, cancel pigs. So, you know what's cringy? The cringiest thing to me is when these people that are cancel pigs, right? like Alyssa Mercante, what they'll try to do to try to own the conservatives, what they'll try to do is that they'll constantly try to use our language, our lingo that we use for them, and try to throw it back on us, right? So in this case, she's calling us cancel pigs when she knows damn well we are not cancel pigs. Obviously, she knows damn well she's the cancel pig, but now because she's shilling for sexualizing characters, all of a sudden she can call us cancel pigs for people that don't want to see this, as a whole. And then it says that despite what certain corners of the internet might believe, there isn't a lack of attractive people in modern video games. Baldur's Gate 3 just set Game of the Year award record, and that game was full of hotties. Well, time out. Baldur's Gate 3 did have some hot characters, yes, but a lot of them were ugly as shit too. Come on, like, what are we talking about? Just because you got to fuck a bear doesn't mean that all of a sudden all these characters were hotties, okay? You guys all shill for the same exact 3 characters in Baldur's Gate 3. Every other character is ugly as shit, or is at least androgynous looking, or they're just another creature altogether, so they really shouldn't be sexualized by a human, and yet you really can't say that because these people like furries, right? So let's be real. And then it says, but when compared to something like, oh, also too, really quick, Baldur's Gate 3 set the Game of the Year award record, not because the game was filled with hotties, but because that game was actually a very good game. It had a insane story. It had a massive amount of customization. It was a true blue RPG all the way down to the bone, and it allowed you so many different ways to play the game and experience the ending and whatnot. So that is why the game had so many awards. It had nothing to do with hot characters. That's just your excuse to try to show for this game right now. It says, but when compared to something like Stellar Blade's Eve, the standard bearer for the latest gamer culture war, the manner in which Hades depicts his characters and their attractiveness is fundamentally different. Yeah, it sure is. And that's because fundamentally they're made by 2 fundamentally different studios. You got Shift Up, which is Korean, and then you also have the Supergiant Games, which is the West, right? It's us. So of course, fundamentally, they're going to do it differently because fundamentally, look what's happening right now in the West versus the East. The East is giving you your more traditional beauty, which a lot of people aspire to and like, and then you have the West, which is giving you the woke beauty. It's trying to give you the androgynous, ugly, kind of blur between the lines between male and female, not really giving you the exact, what you're looking for. They are giving you androgynous beauty. They're giving you the ugly beauty. That's what they're trying to give you. Hades' characters' sexiness is woven into their personalities as much as part of them wants, needs, and emotions in their bodies. However, scantily clad or scalacious are not in motion. They cannot be manipulated or posed or peered at from different angles. Instead, it's like you're looking at statues or paintings of these gods and their eternal, infinite sexiness. There is desire here, sure, but there is also power and reclamation. There is longing because you only get a tiny little taste of their beauty. The concept of look but don't touch is incredibly sexy. It's part of why strip clubs, many of which have strict rules on touching the performers, are so lucrative. Now, there is so much to dissect in this comment. Number one, I'm going to start with the end. It's amazing to me that Alyssa Mercante is trying to tell you what strip clubs are like because she herself was probably a stripper at one point. She has openly admitted to being a sex worker. She constantly wants to fall back on that plan if things go wrong in her activism. I think it's funny that not only that, she's completely wrong about strip clubs. I mean, anybody who's been to a strip club knows this touching is not completely off. There's only some that are, but most aren't. Let's be real, especially if you've been to the ghetto ones in the Bronx. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Atreus. But no, seriously, all jokes aside, it's amazing to me that Alyssa Mercante is that person that's trying to make that comparison. Then on top of that, you have the fact that she's trying to talk about wants, needs, and emotions in their bodies, and how Eve is just this doll of like whatever, and then they have infinite sexiness because you can't pose them, you can't use camera angles, you can't do anything. That is ridiculous, ladies and gentlemen. The fact of the matter is, whether it's a still shot or not, it doesn't matter, man. The characters themselves are going to go as far as they're going to go. Eve is loved by so many because as much as Alyssa Mercante wants to desperately make the standard of sexiness something that looks like her, ultimately that is never going to be the case. No matter how much ESG, DEI funding these companies give, no matter how much they try to put overweight people on Victoria's Secret's front page, it doesn't matter. You're not going to change basic science, basic biology. It's not going to change. Human beings have a simple attraction to certain body types normally. That's not to say that some don't like, something a little bit different, but there is a reason why there is a societal norm for at least us anyway, and that's not going to change anytime soon, no matter how much you may want it to. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you did enjoy it. If you did, consider leaving me a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to like the video, comment, let me know your thought, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Hypnotic out.